Some seen here to renounce the pledge. I've been highlighting members of Congress who've recently said they are getting over Grover. One of those members is Representative Tom Cole of Oklahoma. He signed the pledge and now says he's not bound by it anymore. Representative Cole, a month ago, you wrote, allowing taxes to rise for just the top brackets may seem like an acceptable middle ground by comparison, but this path would be enormously damaging to the economy, which meant you weren't going to do it. Now you've been urging your fellow congressmen to agree to the president's plan to at least extend the Bush-era tax cuts to those making less than $250,000 and then do battle over tax cuts for the wealthy later. What has changed your mind?
Well, first of all, nothing's changed my mind, and frankly, you've mischaracterized my position. I'm not for raising tax rates on anybody. I don't think that's a good idea. It's bad for the economy. It's going to slow down, going to hurt rates. So that's my position,
right.
Not just because I signed a pledge, but because that's what I believe. But what I have said is we agree with the president that taxes on 98% of the American people shouldn't go up. That's his position. That's our position. Why not just take that off the table right now? That's 80% of the Bush tax cut. We could make it permanent. We're still free to fight another day. I actually think Speaker Boehner's put out a good position, which generates the revenue that he committed to, but doesn't raise rates. And I would certainly support that position that he's done. But I'm not for raising rates on anybody, and I don't see what I've proposed as a violation of the pledge. It's not a violation at all to take a temporary tax cut and make it permanent and still be free to fight on the other one.
But that's what this whole debate is about. The whole debate is about taking that temporary tax cut.
First of all, the whole debate's about a lot more than that. It's about spending cuts and entitlements. And I actually think if we can resolve the revenue piece, particularly this piece that affects 98% of the American people, we can move on to where the debate should take place. But, again, I think if the two sides show on this area we agree, we can work together.
Let's take it off Representative Cole, here's the issue. You did say, let's get a deal done, and members of your party came down on you for that and said, no, that's not how we're going to do it. I mean, come on, we've got your colleagues who said that is not the way we're going to go.
Well, they're certainly free to have their opinions. I'm certainly free to have mine. But what I think people sometimes forget in this, if we don't act, tax rates go up for everybody.
Right.
So, the idea that, I'm advocating raising taxes because I'm saying, look, let's take care of 98% right now before these rate hikes automatically go up. That's current law, and then continue to fight on the others. I just think that's, number one, the right thing to do. You don't punish the American people. You don't use them as hostages in a negotiation. And number two, I actually think it's smart politics. It's good negotiating because it moves most of this debate over to the spending and entitlement reform side where it needs to be.
Congressman Cole, hang on there for a second. I want to bring in Congressman-elect Ted Yoho from Florida's 3rd District. Mr. Yoho, 219 representatives and 39 senators in the incoming 113th Congress, which you'll be a part of, have signed the pledge. You are not one of them, and you say you are not going to sign. Now, when I ask you, is this a principled decision about Grover Norquist or the fact that you don't like pledges, or are you not? Are you actually planning to support a tax hike on the top 2%?
No, I didn't sign that pledge because, number one, the pledge I've made is I've made a pledge to my country to, a pledge of allegiance to America, and I made a pledge to my wife. Signing a pledge is not going to solve the problems. We've got a spending problem in this country, and I think there's better ways that we can deal with that.
I want to go back to Congressman Cole for a second. Let me just, Congressman Cole, I'd like to take every opportunity I can to remind Americans about what this pledge is because we talk about it so much. I've got the Norquist pledge here. This is the congressional version of it. I, so-and-so, pledge to the taxpayers of blank district of the state of blank and to the American people that I will, 1, oppose any and all efforts to increase the marginal income tax rate for individuals and or businesses, and 2, oppose any net reduction or elimination of deductions and credits unless matched dollar for dollar by further reducing tax rates. I want to hit on something you said earlier, that it is current law. If we do nothing, the Bush tax cuts expire and rates go up. Is that fancy footwork to get out of the fact that you signed this pledge? Rates will go up, and Grover Norquist doesn't share your compromising view on this.
Well, actually, I'll let Grover speak for himself, but there's nothing in that pledge that says, I can make a temporary tax cut permanent. I can't. It takes the agreement of a Democratic president and a Democratic Senate to do that. Now, I'm going to try and make as much of this tax cut permanent as I can, get as much spending cuts as I can, but I'm not voting to raise taxes, and I've never advocated that we should. I think it's a mistake. It's a spending problem. It's an entitlement reform problem, and we're going to have revenue on the table whether we want it or not. I certainly don't think that if I allowed tax rates to go up on 90% of the American people, or 98% of them, when I could stop it, how would letting taxes go up be a violation or be keeping the pledge, and taking most of them off the table and making those tax cuts permanent be a violation? That's just inconsistent. One other item here, too, is there's the payroll tax.
Yep.
Nobody seems to be talking about that.
Yep.
Now, if the pledge applies to one, it applies to the other, because they're both temporary measures. We want to try and make as many of them permanent as we can.
It would be much easier, sir. It'd be much easier if we didn't have all these temporary measures, or pledges for that matter. Mr. Yoho, have you ever spoken to Grover Norquist?
Yes,